Welcome back to Bottled Water, everybody. We are here, not live. We're not live today. And we're going to talk about why we're not live today because my brain just can't take it anymore. I got to get myself in a good place mentally. And there's a lot of scheduling conflicts. But today's guest is the one, the only, the emperor of the dolphins. The squeak, squeak, squeak. Yeah, you know what dolphins are? I've seen them. Seen dolphins and porpoises. Did you know a killer whale is just a big dolphin? Not really a whale. Let's bring them in. This is, oh my God, where's my mouse? Jazz Shaw. Hey, how's it going?
Dude, good to see you again. I was
Go.
just on, I think, around Christmas, and now I'm back here again. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
you were. You had a very bottled Christmas, and now you are here for, well, it's probably a lot colder where you are now.
Just a bit.
So
No,
I walked.
there's people in Antarctica laughing at. I'm in upstate New York. For people who don't
Mhm.
know, there's people in Antarctica laughing at us. They're like, "Oh, dude, that's got to be really cold."
Oh yeah, yeah. They're just
We
like,
we were down
oh,
to
cry me a
30
river.
below at our camp. It's like
Mhm.
crazy.
It's so. Oh my God, it's been crazy since the last time you were on, and it's not been that long.
Right? Yeah, it's been a crazy season, particularly in ufology. I mean, there's been a lot
Yeah.
of nuts stuff going on, and there's a lot more coming pretty soon, I think.
Well, I can't wait for the new stuff to come out, and I guess that brings me to why I'm not doing a live show and why I'm moving into this pre-recorded thing is because last week I had Generation Z on. I had Dave from Generation Z
Saw that.
podcast.
Yep.
What a wonderful conversation. Loved every minute of it. What nobody knows is, except for Dave, I was at work Saturday, last Saturday. I do on call. I work at a water treatment plant. So every 3 weeks, I'm on call. And I was sweating how I was going to get this episode to work because we had a major incident. And I was at work from 7:15, 7:30 in the morning till almost 5:30 and racing 40 miles to get back to my house because that's how far away the plant is to get the podcast started when it needed to start. So to eliminate that stress of holy crap, can I do this? Can I make the time hacks and everything else? If I pre-record them, put them up, that works better for me. I'm gonna miss the live chat because the live chat's always kind of crazy on my show. But I just
Yeah, that's my big thing. I always like the audience interaction. I mean, that seems like, it's your show. It's a decision you got to make. But
mhm.
man, if you miss out on the live interaction and people asking questions, it does kind of limit the conversation a little more and breaking things that come up. So up
It
to you.
does.
It's your show.
Yeah, I mean it does, but I think what I'll do here in the short term is start putting out. I'm going to have this person on the show this week. Do you have any questions for them? Like put them in this tweet or whatever, right? And then I can pull them up. And I know it's not the same as being live, but the amount of stress of doing a live show when and I was literally monitoring the water plant, texting the other guy who was on call because we had an issue, and like my brain was fried. So it is what it is.
Indeed.
And I get it's 1 week that I do this on call thing, but the stress involved with it when you're making drinking water for people, which is also funny that bottled water makes water.
Hmm. I
So,
should probably change my name to Bottled Martinis. Yeah. Hmm.
I
No,
want
go
everybody
ahead.
to want everybody to see my tactical beer. Clearly, this is a OIF operation Iraqi Freedom Beer because it's desert tan. Um, maybe I'll get one for the next war that's about to happen, or might happen, might not happen.
Do you want to do
Yeah,
politics on this show, really?
I want to do everything.
Because I mean, I write about the whole situation with Russia and Ukraine and all that, but it's not what it's not what I like to talk about on my day off. You
Oh
know,
no, yeah,
but
yeah. It's concerning
sure,
to
the
to
whole
say the
world's
least.
concerning.
Yeah, and I've posted a few anti-war tweets, which I'm a veteran. You're a veteran. I think it's a really bad idea. I've
War
lived
with
through
Russia?
this. Yeah.
Why would you think that was a bad idea?
Why would that be
I
horrible?
mean, God, think of the money everybody's going to make.
Mm.
I mean, war with Russia would be just that
Oh, my
it's.
stocks would love it.
I don't think it's going to happen from the recent developments that I've been getting feedback on from Washington in the last couple of days. There's been a lot of movement, but here we go talking about it anyway. I think there's a number of escape ramps where we don't wind up
Yeah.
actually in a war with Russia. There may be a limited war locally, but I don't think there's like a pan-European war coming. And
Yeah,
I
and
hope I'm right. I hope I'm right about that.
I hope you're right too. I don't want any of that to happen. I want this all to de-escalate and just everybody chill the hell out. And let's get back to just normal life. Let's not worry about things like that. I was in Korea in 2012, the very beginning of 2012, when Kim Jong, the little
Un,
fat one who likes cheese,
Kim
Rocket
Jong
Man,
Un.
yeah, was threatening to nuke us.
Oh,
Like
that's his
this,
hobby.
yeah, he's just like, we're gonna nuke the Americans, and it was like the second day we were there, and
I have not been to Korea since 1981. Just to date myself.
I bet
Last
it
time I was.
sucked back then too.
You know what? Back then there wasn't so much international tension, and
Yeah,
we went to Busan and Incheon,
been to
and
Busan.
oh yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
back then things are pretty calm. It was really just a party town, and we had
Hmm.
Russian ships showing up the same time as American ships. And we'd go out there and we'd get in bar brawls with the Soviets.
Yeah.
You know, just out in the town. And it was just like hotels and bars full of hookers and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and nobody was worried about international geopolitics or anything. It was
Yeah,
just
it
like,
was just
where you spending your money, sailor boy? You know,
yeah.
that was pretty much that was the big debate of the day. You know,
Hmm.
so it was horribly dirty. I caught several diseases just from eating barbecue,
Oh
going
man.
around in Busan in particular. There's people selling barbecue, and you only find out later from the doctor what they're actually selling you is dog.
Yeah,
You know,
dog or cat.
yeah, and we're getting barbecue sandwiches and really horrific beer. And it's like, oh, what happened? I don't know. I drank this beer that made me sick for a week and a half, and apparently I ate a dog. You know, it's like, but then you come home, you survive, and you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
It's like, so I felt bad, but
That
well,
so
back then I didn't really feel that bad.
so that's funny because me and my buddy so we were doing that big annual exercise that they have with South Korea every year. And we went to this little like ramen hut restaurant type thing. And my friend orders bulgogi, which is tradition
Ah,
supposed to be beef.
supposedly.
Supposed to be beef.
How much?
And
Do me a favor. Tell me, you've been around South Korea. How many
yeah,
cows you
South
ever seen?
none.
Never.
Never
There,
saw a
there's like
cow.
8 guys that have cows there, and they're all millionaires, and they don't give those
Yes.
cows to anybody.
No. So this dude orders bulgogi, and I just ordered ramen every time we went anywhere. I was like, I'm gonna get ramen with like shrimp, some type of fish in it. And he's eating his bulgogi, and I'm like, man, that looks really good. Looks like an awesome dish, but I just don't trust it here. And he's got he's got his chopsticks, and he goes in and he pulls a chunk of meat out that's supposed to be beef, and there's literally a claw.
Well,
Like,
cows with
or,
claws, they're
yes,
Asian
cows.
cows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they have claws.
velociraptor cows, and
Right, yeah.
he drops it and just goes, "I've been eating a cat," and I'm just sitting there eating my ramen, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I don't know. Have you seen a cow ever? We've
You
been
know,
here for
we're
5 weeks."
we gotta swing eventually back over to the actual topic people tuned in for, but I will tell you another place, if you were going back, particularly in the late 70s, early 80s, if back when we still had a base in the Philippines,
Mm.
I met a girl who worked at one of the bars out there in the Philippines at uh, on Magsaysay, right off the one main base we had, and I wound up going back to her place, and well, I hope my wife doesn't watch this. Uh, and she had a dog, I've always been a huge. We've had pets our entire life, big animal
Oh yeah.
fans, and I was like, oh, what's your dog's name? She said asshole, and I was like, and I realize English is limited in some places,
Yeah.
and then she later was like, well, we're just fattening him up, you know, and I
Oh
was like,
my god.
wow, I have come into an entirely different culture,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know.
It's it's amazing to see different cultures, and I think more people should get the opportunity to do it because
And
it
maybe not that culture.
yeah, maybe not that culture. You're not wrong there. But it's good for people to experience different cultures, and leading into what this podcast is usually about, when we talk about UFOs and aliens, we don't really consider what their culture might be. Like what are their societal norms? How do they operate? And I understand we have to get to the point of identifying who is doing what. But how will that culture shock affect us just as
That's
a
a
whole?
fascinating question. I mean, think about the difference between you or me growing up
Mhm.
in the United States or an English speaking country and going to some place like Pattaya Beach, Thailand or Korea, you know, and we were just discussing, like the really shocking differences.
Mhm.
Now multiply that out to meeting someone or well, I don't want to say something, that's kind of insulting.
An
You know,
entity.
someone and some entity that evolved in an entirely different environment.
Mhm.
The physical environment was different. The competitive environment between species, assuming there were, is different. You know, but particularly, do they have the same mental processes? This is something everybody, a lot of shows, and I do some network stuff, and people always ask about that. It's like,
Did he
out.
freeze? Oh, okay. You froze for a second.
Oh wow, sorry. Looked like my connection was good. Anyway, what I was saying was, you know, w- we have these culture clashes here, but
Mhm.
if you met someone or something, and again, I'll say, probably shouldn't say something, that came up in such a radically different environment, would and again, that's what I started to say. I go on various network shows and things like that,
Yeah.
and people always ask that. It's like, what do they want? Why are they here watching us? What
Mhm.
are they interacting? Are they abducting people? What are they doing? What is their purpose and why won't they talk to us? I think all of those questions are questions that a lot of us have. They're very
Yeah.
valid questions. But every time I hear them, my immediate gut response after thinking about this for many, many years is we're kind of anthropomorphizing them. We're kind of
Yeah.
making it a human-centric question. Like,
Hmm.
well, if we went to another planet, what would we be doing? And we can come up with answers like, oh, we'd be interested in the science. Maybe we would want the resources. Maybe we'd be interested in conquering. Maybe we're just studying and observing. What if they're not interested in any of that? What if they're doing something entirely different because their
Yeah.
motivations are so different than ours that we could never understand them, you know? And part of that comes back to like Johnny Alteni, you know, his question about, how are you going to react to them? What's the relationship going to be like?
Hmm.
Years ago, he asked the question, when's the last time you got on a plane and flew halfway around the planet to teach a cat algebra? You know?
Yeah.
And the answer is, well, we wouldn't do that.
Hmm.
Well, if we're the cats, then maybe they're just here for, do they need resources? I like to write that one off right off the bat,
Yeah,
just for what
because
it's worth, dude, because every resource we have here, just in our own solar system, do
hmm
you want water? There's entire asteroids made out of water out there.
yep.
Do you want gold? There's massive amounts of gold that humans are hungry to go and
Hmm.
start mining on in the asteroid belt. You know,
Yeah.
uh, every precious metal you could imagine, it's all sitting out there. Why would you go bother messing with the cats down on Earth and
Yep.
having to go through the atmosphere and the land and deal with them looking at you with binoculars when you can get all that crap just floating around out there?
Oh
So no,
yeah,
I
it's
don't think
everywhere.
that's it. I do sort of like the scientist theory. Um, like, well, here's a different species we never studied before.
Hmm.
But am I really concerned what the ants care when I go to look at the anthill? Probably not so much.
No.
And the last qualifier, and I want to hear your take on this. We still don't know there's a they. We don't know if
Right.
there's an. I mean, if you've followed my appearances on things,
Hmm.
my wife and I have had 4 different sightings in the last 14 months. Okay, I've never seen any beings. I've never seen any aliens. I've never been abducted that
Right.
I know of
That
anyway,
you know
unless
of.
they're
Yeah.
really good with that screen memory stuff. The the things in the sky that we're seeing, if you don't get offended by the whole nuts and bolts side of the discussion, those that could just be super intelligent AI
Yeah.
that somebody else made and is self-replicating and is
Hmm.
going around the galaxy and just gathering data and doing whatever it does. They might have the 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 intelligence, the intellect, the mechanics for, and it's not a terrible theory, might have outlived whoever made it originally. They could be extinct,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and we could just be dealing with machines, right? I mean,
Yep.
we don't know that. And
So
what's the emotional level of a machine? What are the
zero.
wh- I mean, would a machine ever develop compassion? Would an artificial intelligence ever develop an intellect that would be, oh, maybe I should take into consideration the impact I'm having on
Hmm.
these things that I'm studying? I don't know the answers, but I think they're fascinating questions. And if it's I mean, you could be making a lot of really bad assumptions about, oh, we'll reason with them. It's the light people. They're here to help
Yeah.
us. Meanwhile, the robot's like, eh, you know, moving on, and now we're going to study the antelope,
Hmm.
and you're done. You know,
Yeah.
I,
No,
I don't
you.
think we know, and I don't think we can know yet. I think we need some examples. We need some
Yeah.
biology. We need some good specimens. Um,
Yeah, and you bring up a lot of really good points, and I agree 100%. They're not here for resources. That's just
it doesn't make any sense.
no, that's the Independence Day Hollywood
Right.
ideology that aliens are coming to Earth for our resources. Why? They're everywhere, literally everywhere, and in
And
greater
just in
numbers.
terms of expenditure of resources and energy to get those resources,
Yeah.
Going to a planet with an atmosphere and having to go through the atmosphere and land and deal with all the creepy monkey people that are out looking for you and all that, and trying not to be seen and getting
Hmm.
some water and leaving. Compare that to the effort required to go to one of the moons of Jupiter that's literally a ball of ice and water, and there's
Yeah.
nobody there.
Yeah.
Just go and stick a tube in the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
go to Europa and get all the water
right?
you want.
Just take all you want. Go to the asteroid belt. You can find everything. No, it makes no sense to me. Anybody smart enough to make their way through the void of space, if that's your impetus, I would say if I found an occupied planet, that's just a huge hassle
Oh
compared to
yeah.
something I could do compared to going to the gas station, you know?
Yeah. And
So
just
no, that
looking
makes
at
no sense to me.
if they have the ability to travel across the stars and do it in a manner that is way more advanced than anything that we could possibly have in like the next 100 years or so, are are they really not capable of combining hydrogen and oxygen and making water?
Good point. Good point. Unless, and we're skipping over an important point here, maybe they're not from another star system. Maybe
Mhm.
they're dolphins. So if they're
They
coming
do
from
love water.
here and going out, that's a lot more work when there's a lot of water here, right? So if
Yes.
it's dolphins, well, then maybe, yeah, they're here for the water.
So you are the Dolphin King. Can you
Emperor,
Emperor? Sorry, my bad. Can
that's
you
okay. We're gonna save you a nice room with a blanket in the re-education facilities when we take
Oh,
over.
good. Yes.
What we're gonna save you a spot, dude.
Awesome. Can the lights blink every 10 seconds just to throw me off every now and again?
You're not gonna be able to get any electricity for a while, but there'll be water and blankets.
Oh,
So
good.
the occasional fish, you know.
Thanks for all the free fish. We're out. So, can you explain the dolphin theory and how you came to it and how you have become the dolphin emperor?
Okay, for anybody who ever missed it, since we're recording this ahead of time, I will send you the link if you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Um, Back during, you remember the big phone home on UCR, right?
Yeah.
I was part of that. And during one of my appearances there, the whole discussion we're having about who are they, who's running all this, these things we're seeing had come up, and I was in the middle of developing, for lack of a better term, this thought experiment.
Hmm.
And because, excuse me. Oh, thank you. Yes, deodorant. Sorry. Um, we we had I had this idea that everybody's asking: is it the Greys? Is it the reptilians? Is it
Hmm.
the insectoids? The Venusians? Is it time travelers? All these things. If you want to look at the phenomena and try to assign one of these as the culprits, right? There's huge assumptions you have to make.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if it's time travelers, well, then time travel has to be possible. And somebody had to figure it out and then come back here. And can you travel backwards in time? It, if it's somebody from another star system, say nothing of another galaxy, that's a huge distance to travel.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of assumptions you're making, like, wow, somebody had to do that. And it occurred to me, it's like, well, we're seeing things in the sky we can't explain. And I launched into this thought experiment. It was like, for every argument you make how you could overcome all those barriers, I could make an argument that it could be dolphins.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because and I wound up publishing this like 4,000 some hundred word article at the debrief, where I went through the whole thing. And it was like, you can say that, oh, well, it's impossible to cross the chasms of interstellar space. Well, the dolphins are already here, right?
Hmm.
Well, we're the smartest people here. Well, do we know that? Dolphins, we already know that dolphins walked on the land
Yep.
5 million years. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 45
Yeah.
million years ago. people didn't come down from the trees until 5 million years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
our skulls were like a third of the size they are now. 45
Yeah.
million years ago, the dolphins were on 4 legs up on the land, and their brains were as big as they are now. It's like, what were they thinking about? What were they doing? And from there, I just walked down this path. I was like, maybe they came out of the water and looked around and was like, this sucked. But we're going to go back in the water. But they got these huge brains, but they were up there and they could look up, they could see the sky. It's like, what are those points of light? We'd like to know. And with big enough brains and a long enough amount of time to develop perhaps some extraordinary abilities like telekinesis, the ability
Mm-hmm.
to manipulate things with your mind, which humans believe in today, many of them do,
Yep.
maybe they could go and hide and start building technology. And would we know? Well, we think we would know because we think we're the smartest things on the planet.
Yeah, but there's so
But I
much we
could
don't even
say,
understand.
and it's like we have better maps of the entirety of the moon and Mars than we do of the deep oceans. How
Mm-hmm.
do you know what's down there? Maybe they went back into the water and they re-evolved. And there's so many legends of like mermaids and merpeople and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've been down there and like building their own spaceships, and now they're coming up and being like, oh, thanks for all the fish, but screw you, you
Yeah.
know? And they're zooming around and going out and checking stuff out. I'm not saying that's the reality. I'm just saying, is my answer any more crazy than you saying that some little scrawny gray things from Zeta Reticuli traveled
Uh-huh.
47 light years and came here and are abducting you to steal your sperm and make alien hybrids?
Yeah, no,
The
right?
dolphin, by the way, the dolphin males, every time you put them in a pool with human females, they're always trying to have sex with them.
Yep.
Why isn't that a breeding program? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's their secret breeding program. They're doing
That's how they do
hybrids,
it.
you know? The
So,
whole thing, like every point up and down the line, if you go, and
mhm.
like I said, I'll give you the link, but every argument you make in favor of all of these other things, an equally, you know, plausible argument could be made for super intelligent dolphins that have hidden themselves
Mhm.
from us because they had a 45 million year head start on us,
Oh
and
yeah.
they have giant brains. Is my answer really that much more crazy than
Not really.
reptilians?
Not really.
You know, and I wasn't saying it's the case. I'm just saying as a thought
No,
experiment,
but
let's
it's
consider all the possibilities.
so it's probably less crazy than reptilians because how many smart reptiles do we have examples of? Reptiles have been around for oh
Way longer than us.
way longer. Way down and back in the Cretaceous period there were reptiles. Has anybody seen a reptile, solve a problem?
No,
Even I've never seen a reptile identify the color blue. I've seen dolphins do it. I've seen birds do it.
you know who does solve problems?
Who's that?
Octopi and squids. They are really smart, like scary smart,
Extremely intelligent.
and they have weird, like double neural networks. I have heard people make the case
Hmm.
they're probably aliens. That's probably something that arrived here after we did
Yeah,
because it's so different than everything else, and they're really smart.
they are, and
Um,
I've seen several like Nat Geo and Science.com articles about how octopi are probably not originated on Earth.
we should probably stop saying that, by the way. It's octopuses. But, um, well, no, there was no Latin word for octopus, so the
Right.
plural isn't octopi, so it's octopuses. I'm sorry, I'm a writer and I'm an editor, and that's one of those
Well,
things.
if
Pet
they
peeve.
don't know, the plural for moose is moose.
Right. But the plural for octopus is octopuses, even though it sounds horrible to say, and octopi sounds so much cooler.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm totally on board with what you're saying. Um, I think I'm personally, I have no proof. I don't think anybody does. I'm sort of a believer in the whole panspermia thing.
Hmm.
Like anywhere that solid planets form, particularly the ones that attract water and some gases and maybe have an atmosphere, there's probably crap raining down
Hmm.
that has the chance to take root. My big moment of revelation for that was the International Space Station a few years ago. Somebody went to clean one of the windows on it and went to wipe something off, and it didn't come off
It was on
because
the
it turned
outside.
out because it was on the outside and it was a living, like this green slime stuff that was growing in the dead of space,
Yeah, it's
total
a
vacuum,
vacuum. Yeah.
getting exposed to the sun, and it was living out there. I saw
Mm.
that story and I was like, you know what? I bet you the entire damn universe is lousy with life.
Oh,
It's just,
yeah, it's
and
everywhere.
wherever it lands, if it's got a really rich environment, it probably evolves. And
Yeah.
that's my take. I have no proof of it, but that internet, that ISS thing, that was what convinced me. I think everything is just, there was a bunch of matter. Where it all came from, we don't know. It formed into planets and asteroids and stars and all that.
Hmm.
Life is probably, and this is a controversial statement, and I'll apologize in advance. Matter and energy was the original form of the universe.
Right.
This universe, there may be many universes, I don't know.
Hmm.
Life, in a way, including us, is sort of the cancer on the universe
I
because
can
it
see that.
evolves and grows up and then starts impacting all the matter and fucking it up. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Are
No,
we?
you can swear on my channel. I do it all
Can
the
we?
time.
I'm
Yep. Oh
sorry.
yeah. We
Oh,
can
I
say
was a
whatever the
sailor.
fuck we want.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's like life may actually be the aberration, and
Yeah.
that's, any religious person, I apologize to you in advance, but maybe the natural state was just matter and energy.
Hmm.
But then life started latching on to all that and being like, oh, wow, here's a good place. It starts growing and evolving and doing that.
Yeah.
And look what our planet looks like now compared to 20,000 years ago. It's like,
Shit, compared to
not
3,000 years
entirely
ago.
good, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
And what would
you.
aliens do, right?
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a good point. Life is
Could
it's
be ubiquitous.
natural, but it's not natural. I mean, it makes sense if the universe was just full of elements and planets and rock and all the other little things that float around their stars. Life is extremely interesting. It's
Oh yeah,
how it came about. How it came about. I almost said a boot. I've been talking to a lot of Canadians,
I love
and
that. What's all that about? Yeah.
what's all that about? But if you look at it, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So you have a planet like billions and trillions of other planets, and there's water. How did life start? Did a lightning bolt hit a puddle that just happened to have the right, chemicals in it, and then that sparked life?
Well, now you're getting down, dude, to the ultimate question. I mean, anybody who's a Star Trek Next Generation fan
Hmm.
probably remembers the penultimate episode uh, where Q was out there explaining, where life originated and how it could have
Yeah.
been disrupted. Because there's the little
Hmm.
pond of scum and the different things are coming together, and then suddenly it gets disrupted and there's no life, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Does that have to happen? Would that happen randomly on every planet where there's water and all of the things that rain down
Hmm.
until something arises on its own? Or did it happen once and then, I don't know, the planet blows up or things blow off of it or whatever, and it just starts spreading like a disease through, excuse me, through the entire cosmos and starts
Hmm.
raining down everywhere else? It's like if we found life on another planet in our solar system, if we found life on a planet or body orbiting another star, if we get advanced enough to go check that out, would it all wind up having DNA? Would it all wind up, probably wildly different as it
Yeah.
evolved? But would the base origins, would it all be that same? Here's where life came from, and we built DNA, and you build out from here, and then you evolve and do, whatever works for you in that environment. Is it all the same, or did it happen independently in some potentially unlimited number of different places, and now it's all clashing with each other. If you meet a gray,
Yeah.
did the gray have DNA? I mean, these are questions that keep me up at night, dude. Seriously. It's like they may not be in any way related, or they could be cousins, and we just landed here later and they're ahead of us.
Yeah.
You know,
So I want
I don't know.
to show this. Screen. Chrome. So this right here, we are looking at NASA finds organic material, mysterious methane on Mars. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's
Methane,
from 2018. I remember that story. Yeah.
methane, kind of. It's not.
Well, yeah, methane can be what's called a biosignature.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a biosignature. We have seen methane in the atmospheres of
Mm-hmm.
moons that have no observable life right here in our own solar system.
Yeah.
There's one moon of Jupiter that is almost entirely
Methane.
hydrocarbons,
Yep.
and there's a ton of methane there. It's just because there was a bunch of carbon and hydrogen that settled together and started cooking, as far as we can tell. You know, it didn't develop into any life we recognize, and we even put a probe down there and looked.
Mm-hmm.
There may be some, but we haven't seen
So
anything yet.
there's another article that just came out like a week ago. I just found it. It's similar. Here we go. The new orbiter. Okay. I guess we're looking at an ad for Aqua Sansa, whatever that is.
I don't know. Does it make martinis? I'll sign up.
Oh, that's because I'm on MSN, of course. So they found more traces of water, found signs of liquid water on the red planet as recently as
Right.
2 to 2.5 billion years ago.
Yep. And actually, there's some traces today in some deep canyons.
Yeah.
But yeah, they think that water. I was just talking to Micah Hanks, and he did a thing on this week's episode of his podcast, talking to Christina Gomez about that story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an amazing discovery. It's like there was probably water earlier on Mars and later than we
Yeah.
thought. And then something happened and it all got blown away and the atmosphere got blown away. And there's a lot of theories about that.
Oh,
Was there
there's.
life during that period? But yeah, it was a viable planet. It had a
Mm-hmm.
lower gravity, but it had water running. Could have been life. Um, we don't know, but we're taking baby steps on Mars right now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find a fossil or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Something
not
to
saying there's somebody
solidify.
walking. There's not Martians walking around now. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
that. Maybe there are, but we need to find something like just give us a little fish bone,
Mm-hmm.
in one of these lake beds. Like, oh yeah, there
Or
was water here,
yeah.
and oh by the way, there was a fish.
Yeah.
Well, then that
Even a
changes the whole
mollusk.
story, right?
Yeah, it could be as simple as a clam
A
or
shell, yeah,
yeah, that's all it has to be.
something
Just
biological that
mhm.
had the ability to harden into a fossil. Anything like that, the whole story changes. Now we got to get somebody and something up there to collect samples, bring it back, test it, and do the question you and I were just talking about. Did it
Mhm.
have DNA? Was it the same kind of DNA if it does?
Yeah.
Was it something entirely different? Because then you start, without having to go to another star system, you get closer to answering the question, was there a second Genesis? And if there
Mhm.
was a second Genesis, were there a trillion Genesis? You know,
Yeah, how far does it go?
and
Like
humanity has a big vested interest in knowing the answer to that question, particularly when we consider the religious thing. It's like we were
mhm.
always told, it's just us, we were
This is
created
it.
and there's life. And if you find life that's not related to us and doesn't have the same biological origins, wow, there's a whole
Oh
new
yeah.
complicated question coming.
Yeah, because like looking at DNA, are they comprised of different amino acids and in a helical, connection? And
Right?
that's
How different can it be?
yeah, like are they
Or might
carbon based or
I mean, I've
silicon
read a
based?
couple of studies, smart people who said there could be life forms out there that don't even have DNA. DNA is required for us. When I say
Yes.
us, I don't just mean humans. Every life form we know of on the planet to
Hmm.
be able to structure itself and reproduce itself
Yeah.
and make a successfully reproducing species. And the DNA passes on the genetic information to go
Hmm.
from one generation to the next. It can evolve, it can do all that. There could be an entirely different system somewhere else where, they cooked up something we can't even imagine that allows for the two basic fundamentals that pretty much everybody agrees with. Number one, you have to be able to stay alive.
Yeah.
Number two, you have to either live forever or you have to be able to reproduce and spread out your seed and
Yep.
multiply. You have to do one of those two things, or your footprint is really short. If
Hmm.
you can't do either of those. But if we found something that didn't have DNA that we recognize and it still evolved, then it did it in an entirely different way that we can't even imagine. Now we're into a whole new area of science that
Yeah.
nobody's even imagined yet.
And there's a small theory that humans aren't really. This is going to sound crazy. Um,
Oh, we wouldn't
I
have anything crazy on this fucking show.
so I have my own theory about origins of humans.
Okay.
If you look at every single species on this planet, aside from humans and some of the great apes, we are hilariously outgunned for the first 12, maybe 15 years of our lives. Even a small elephant, a 2 or 3 year old elephant, can defend itself and it's got the herd. Humans, we have no claws. We have
Well, we have
nothing,
nails, but they're not
but
good claws.
yeah, and they're horrible. They
Yeah, we
they
don't
get
have
long and
teeth.
they
We don't have big
break.
fangs.
Yeah, we have no natural ability
No, we were
to
terrible predators.
horrible predators. It's amazing that we existed as long as we did to get to the point to where we're at. But if you look at say a tiger cub, what, 6 months and it's lethal? Look at dogs.
Probably. Yeah.
Dogs are dependent for about, yeah, 4 to 6 months until they're able to go out on their own and do their own thing.
Yep.
Sharks are immediately lethal
Yeah.
to relative to their size. And then you have people, 18 years to mature, 25, or what is it, 25 years almost to mature, and for the little bone to close up in our heads. We are horrible
Well,
at this.
if we go back to really prehistoric days, we do start to get viable pre-puberty a little bit, like maybe 10 years. You might be able to run away and hide
Mhm.
or catch a small animal or something like that. But yeah, no, I totally take your point.
Yeah, it's amazing that this whole wild world, and a lot of people have never seen a wild, like actually interacted with wild animals. It's entirely different. If when you interact with a wild animal, not at a
I think I know your
zoo.
point, but go ahead and make it because I actually have an answer to that. But go ahead, make your
Yeah,
point.
it almost feels like what we live in is completely artificial, designed for our success.
That's one possibility. I've heard that theory. Um, Also, there is a parallel theory that brains evolve at a rate necessary to ensure survival of the species. We were terrible predators. We were mediocre at defending ourselves. But our brains evolved really quickly, and we started using tools and things like that because we didn't have the claws. We didn't have all the other natural abilities. I would flip that conversation around and look at the saltwater crocodile.
Mm-hmm.
The saltwater crocodile, we have examples. I think the record right now, today, I posted a picture about a year ago on social media of one of the biggest ones that was ever caught. It was damn near 40 feet long.
That's a big fucking
But
crocodile.
if you go look at the fossil record, back when the dinosaurs were still around,
Mm-hmm.
the crocodiles were there. They looked the same they do now, just a little bigger,
Yeah.
you know, and they really haven't changed at all. And the one theory that I liked from an interview I did for the debrief with a biologist was the idea that animals evolve, they either go extinct or they
Mm-hmm.
evolve until they don't need to evolve anymore. The
Right.
crocodiles arrived on the scene, aside from being a little too small, in an almost perfect form.
Oh
They
yeah.
got a lot bigger, and nothing fucked with saltwater crocodiles.
No.
Nothing. And they fucked with whatever they wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
they ate whatever. They stopped evolving. They stopped evolving when the
Yeah, they didn't
dinosaurs.
need to.
They look the same now as they did then. We came on the scene, and we were initially these little rodents that were hiding from the dinosaurs. And then, the dinosaurs were gone, and a few of the little rodents survived, and they came down from the trees, and they're getting hunted by shit. And there's only a
Mm-hmm.
handful of them that finally got smart enough to go, oh man, we got to deal with this shit, or we're not going anywhere, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the other school of thought. It didn't necessarily need to be an intervention. It's the idea, and there are biologists who put this out there. Like I said, I've interviewed a couple of them, that we would not have evolved the big brains we have right now if we weren't such crappy predators,
Yeah.
if we weren't so easily slain prey. We either wouldn't be here today,
Mm-hmm.
or we were forced into, dudes, dudettes, we got to do something about this shit. We're getting killed off.
Yep.
Let's get a stick and sharpen it and hit something, or hide in a tree or whatever, right? And I don't discount that entirely. I think it's possible that mice aren't big, right?
No.
And that was the other example. This one female scientist I interviewed, she talked about that extensively. Mice are not great predators of anything bigger than insects,
Yeah.
and they're very tasty, and they can kind of dig and hide in holes. They figured out their own, maybe figured out, it's probably the wrong word. They developed their own strategy
Mm-hmm.
of breeding prodigiously, being able to live in multiple environments above and below ground,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And today, mice outnumber us by 1,000,000,000 to 1.
Oh yeah. Rodents.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Are they alligators, crocodiles? Are they alpha?
Nope.
No, they came up with a survival strategy.
Yep.
So,
Power in numbers.
right, is it? Yeah, it's power in numbers, but it's also a lot of animals have the thing. If I fish in particular, if I produce 1,000 eggs,
Mm-hmm.
I only need like 3 of them to survive,
Yeah.
and the next generation goes forward.
Yep.
We rely on, if I have 3
One
kids,
or two or three.
1 or 2 better survive, or we're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taken by her argument that mice are a great example. It's like mice in some ways are arguably more successful than we are. You
Yeah.
know, they're everywhere, every environment. They outnumber us massively, and they are not great predators,
No, they're
but they
not.
are omnivores like us. They can eat almost anything.
Yeah.
That's another big advantage we have. You know, animals that are really specific, they can only eat a certain thing. Once that thing goes away, they go
They're
away.
done. Yeah.
We were omnivores early on. Our teeth show it. We have
Mm-hmm.
incisors in the front, molars in the back. We can eat meat. We can eat plants. Whatever's available, we eat it. Mice are the same way.
Yep.
All that stuff. So I think I think there is an argument to say that we didn't necessarily have aliens coming and modifying us to make us more successful,
Yeah,
because there are other species that have been, without building rocket ships or anything, tremendously successful just by being adaptable. Does that make sense?
spiders, birds.
Right.
I mean,
You
look
know,
at birds.
I
So
watch birds all the time. So
I have a bird feeder now. I'm really proud of it, even though the
I
birds
thank
don't
you,
use
sir.
it.
I have 5 of them, and I have 3 birdhouses on my front porch of my house.
I love my bird feeder. Like we got I this is probably me getting older, but I got a bird feeder and it's this really cool looking farmhouse like bird feeder and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And filled it up with bird feed and put it out and nothing. So I might throw some bird feed down just for them to understand that hey, there's something here, but yeah, that's me getting old. Talk. I have birds.
Hang in there, man. We have 5 bird feeders around our property for songbirds, for the sparrows,
Yeah,
for the little birds. They go on that. I also have a flock of pigeons that hang out in front of my house on the phone lines, and they don't go to bird feeders. That's not what pigeons do.
right.
And I have an area, even in the winter, I keep it clear on the walk, and I throw bird seed out, and the pigeons come down and they eat that.
Hmm.
And in the area where we live, there are a lot of hawks, and the hawks like to eat pigeons.
Yeah,
And a lot of times when the pigeons are eating, the hawks will come down and buzz them and scatter them, and sometimes they'll grab a pigeon. And
yeah.
people are like, "Wow, you should stop that. Couldn't you put up a net?" I was like, "No,
No.
because the hawks got to eat too. It's
Yeah.
all the cycle of nature.
Hmm.
I wouldn't stop the hawks if I had the ability, and I don't. You know, so yeah, no, I love birds, but I think they teach a lot of good lessons.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, they.
everybody's got to survive. Maybe there's a message in what we're talking about in terms of humans and aliens.
Hmm.
Everybody has to figure out their way forward. And if
Yeah.
you weren't equipped to make your way, then the proof will be in the pudding because you won't be here next millennium. And if
Right.
you are, then you made the transition and you found out how to go forward. I would say to you, no matter how it started, humans are here and we're so dominant to, in my opinion, a
Hmm.
damaging degree to the planet because we evolved and we figured it out. Some
Yep.
ways we figured it out mentally, some ways we just evolved and had a lot of flexibility, you
Yeah.
know. And there's a lot of species that didn't have that and they didn't make it. But you know who's successful than us, more successful than us? All the insects. They're
All of them.
they're always going to be here until the planet
Hmm.
doesn't exist, and they outnumber us by literally tens of billions to one.
Yeah.
So
So talking about saltwater crocodiles, I pulled this up. This is. I don't know if you've seen this, but oh my god, it makes noise. Stop making noise. There we go. So here's a saltwater croc
you sure? Okay.
swimming around doing his little crocodile
Yeah, that's a
thing,
croc. It's not an alligator. You're right.
and look at that. There's a bull shark. Why?
Well,
Completely avoids.
I think you realize the bull shark's smart enough. Like, I'm not attacking that.
Yeah, he's like, screw that. But this one, I've seen this one before. This is, yeah, back in 2014. Yes, everybody, look at this. Oh my God, it's a shitty slideshow. Are you serious? Just show the damn picture. We'll pause it. We'll get rid of Steve Irwin. God rest his soul. This croc just based this shark. Just
Yeah.
totally took him out. And,
Yep.
oh, here we go.
Like I
Look at
said, it's out.
that.
It's out in the Philippines, but the largest saltwater crocodile I have a picture of, if I wanted to go dredge it up right now, was almost 40 feet long. It's insane.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
there's a croc just eating a shark. That's an alpha predator.
Oh
If
yeah,
you're if you can live past around a year old as a saltwater crocodile,
you're good.
you're going to live as long as whatever your biology allows.
Hmm.
Nobody else fucks with them,
No,
you know.
nobody.
But we didn't evolve like that. We only exist because of our technology. We
Yes,
would be
that's it.
wiped out if we had to go and hand to hand fight everything else on the planet. This show wouldn't be happening because there'd be like 9 people.
Yes.
You know, bears would kill you. Sizable, mid-sized cats would kill you.
Oh yeah, you'd be so
Coyotes, if there was
screwed.
more than 5 of them, would kill you. You know, without our technology, we're not crap. The saltwater
No, we're not.
crocodile has been out there since dinosaur days, and nobody fucks with it. You know,
Yeah,
so
nobody even dares. The even the big sharks don't want anything to do with that.
right.
The great
There's
whites
very
aren't.
few animals in that category, really.
Now, one thing that I saw this and I was really surprised by it because I was like, "Well, I didn't know that this happened." So we have this guy right here. This is a leopard killing a crocodile.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Watch this. So that's actually the leopard coming up.
I see it.
That is crazy.
That's not a big croc, but that's still an adult croc.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like an 18-footer, but no,
And it
that
takes
is
it into the
nuts.
water.
And why would you do that? That's his territory.
Right? Like it takes it into the water. That is
Oh my
so
God, man,
crazy
I
to me.
never saw that. That's nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos from
Why
South
wouldn't he
America.
drag it back up onto the beach?
Right.
Get him out of his element. It's like, now I can cut your throat, right?
Yeah.
No, that is nuts. I got to go look into that.
Yeah, I've seen there's a couple videos. There's one, the jaguar is like up on a ridge and it jumps down into the water, or leopard, whatever it is, jumps down into the water, grabs a freaking crocodile and pulls it out onto the land. And I was like, cats
I
don't
had
give
no
a
idea.
shit.
Cats don't even want to be in the water. Say nothing with something with jaws like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. But
Oh yeah, you
yeah, it's
definitely have
fascinating.
to look into it. You will be blown away by the footage that
Wonders
exists.
of nature, baby.
Well, do you know alligators can climb trees?
Don't even go there. I cannot have my day changed about alligators climbing trees. No, no, no. I'm not doing that.
And not little ones.
Even if
Eight
it's true, I don't want
eight
to see it.
footers.
No. Nope. I reject that. Nope. No alligators in trees.
I
I
reject
have to
that
sleep
reality.
tonight, asshole.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
There you go.
So
All right.
this
I'm
is
coming up on my hour. I got to
Yep.
go.
I was just gonna say, hey man, this has been great. Thank you for coming on and embracing the new layout of the show. And I had a great time.
I had a lot of fun. I apologize to anybody who was expecting it to be all UFO stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry, but it's like everybody has their own interests, and I had a good time talking about this.
Oh yeah, I had a great time too. I can't wait to talk to you again. I'm gonna throw you in the back and do my exit, and then I'm gonna render this and do all sorts of stuff.
Have fun,
Oh, by the
everybody.
way, if you guys haven't noticed, down at the bottom, you can find Jazz at Jazz Shaw on Twitter. Going across the bottom. I keep reminding myself to do that. Go ahead and send me that link. I'll put it down in the description and everything.
Yep.
All right.
And you can always find me at the debrief.
Absolutely. Well, that ends the first not live show. That's kind of weird. There's no tweets, no messages to mess with my ADD. But this is the new format. This works for me. This is a lot better for how I operate. And we are going to branch out into different topics and talk about a lot of different things. So if you made it this far, go ahead, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get the notifications. And like I said on last week's show, when those notifications come to your phone or wherever they come to, if you click on them, that actually helps any channel grow. It doesn't matter what the channel is, but if you click on those notifications, that tells YouTube that you are interested in the channel and that you want to view more content from the channel. Even if you don't, if you just do me a tiny little favor and just like click on it, like, you know, you know, you know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. Okay, so yeah, it's Saturday. It's the 5th of February 2022, and signing off. I'm put like a thing here. Check out these videos. Ooh.